Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Monique Agbo and I upload sewing and lifestyle content on this channel. In today's video, I'm going to teach you all how to properly draft a trousers pattern, and it's going to be beginner friendly. If that's something you're interested in watching, let's dive into this tutorial together.
These are the materials you need for your pattern drafting for your trousers. You need your brown paper, it's either be white or brown. Then you need your curve rulers, a straight ruler and a curving ruler, and your paper scissors. That's all you need. So now, the first thing I want to do is to mark out my starting line. So this is my starting line. The length of the trousers I'm working with is 42, and I'm adding extra 3 inches allowance, so which means that I am going to measure out 45. So this is what it looks like after I've already marked it. So I'm just going to pull out the line like this. This is the length and this is the allowance. So the next thing I want to do is to come up by 1 inch. So I'm just going to mark 1 inch round till the end of the trousers length. So after marking the point, I'm just going to connect all these points together like this. That's the first thing you should do before drafting your trousers. The trousers we're working with, this trousers does not have a band, and most trousers have a band. So because it has a band, I'll be taking out 2 inches from it. So I'm going to start my measurement from 2 inches, and I'm going to mark the hip line, which is 9 inches for this particular measurement I'm using, and our crotch is 12.5 inches. So I'm just going to connect the points together like this and like this. Like this borderline will serve as the waistline, this will be the hip line, and this will be the crotch line. Let me write it for you to show. Waistline, hip line, and the crotch. On the waistline, I'm just going to mark out my hip measurements, and the hip measurement I'm working with is 43 divided by 4. That will give me 10 3/4. I'm going to mark it out like this. On my hip line, I'll do the same thing. Mark out the same measurements, your hip line, and on the crotch line, repeat the same process too, like this. Then I'll connect the points together like this. Take note, you are marking out your hip measurement on these 3 lines. Our thigh is 27 divided by 2. For the thigh, you have to measure it by divided by 2 and not by 4. 27 divided by 2, that will give me 13 half. So on this crotch line, after marking out the hip line, I'll just go ahead and mark out the crotch line, the thigh measurement, which is 13.5. Thigh or lap, anyone, your lap measurement, you mark it here. On this waistline here, I'm going to come up by ½ inch, and I would slant it like this. On this crotch line, I'll slant it like this. And also on this this new line, this is the old one and this is the new one. So I'm just going to mark out another ½ inch like this, and I'm going to slant it towards the end of the trousers like this. Make sure it's in a slanted form. Can you see? So I'm not making use of this old line. This is the new lines. All the slanted lines are now the new lines we're making use of. So this is where the curve ruler comes in. I am going to put it like this. Make sure it's on the new line, and I'll use this to comfortably draw my crotch line. Can you see? So this is the crotch line. I have already placed it on the new line. I've connected it to the new line. So this is the crotch line for your trousers. That is how to get your crotch line for your trousers. To get the knee level, what you have to do now is to place your tape rule on your crotch line like this, down to the length of your trousers without the allowance. What I have here is 31 3/4. So I am going to divide that 31 3/4 divided by 2. And what I have is 15 3/4. And that 15 3/4, I am going to subtract 1.5 from it. And that will give me 14 thereabouts. So I'm just going to mark it out like this. And I'm going to mark the point. This will serve as my knee line. Whatever I have here is 13.5. I'm going to mark out 13.5 here. The same thing, and I'll mark it on the length too. 13.5. So after marking it out, I'm just going to connect these points together like this. So this is what it looks like after I've already connected the lines together. Remember what I said I have on my crotch line, which is 13.5. I brought it here on the knee line and I brought it on the length of the trousers. So now our main focus is on this part now. So after doing that, this 13.5 that you have here, you want to find the midpoint of 13.5. So whatever you have here, divide it by 2. What I have is 6 3/4. Using my own measurements, so I'm just going to mark out 6 3/4 here. I'll mark out 6 3/4 here, and then the length 6 3/4. That is finding the midpoint of whatever you have here. Put it on the nail line and put it on the length. Then you take your ruler to connect the points together. So for a tie, I'm making use of 18 inches. So 18 divided by 2 will give me 9 inches. So we have 9, but I cannot just measure 9 like this and continue with it. So this 9 that I have, this round figure, I'm going to divide it by 2. And if you divide that 9 divided by 2, that'll give me 4.5. So let me explain again. Whatever you have, measure your tie, whatever you have on your tie, divided it by 2. Mine is 18, I divided it by 2, and that gave me 9 inches. And this 9 inches, I'm still going to divide it by 2 again, and that will give me 4.5. So from the midpoint on this area, I'll mark out 4.5. And on the midpoint of this place too, I'll mark out 4.5. So that will give me 9 inches. So for our ankle, I'm making use of 8 inches, and 8 divided by 2, that will give me 4 inches. So on the length of the trousers, I'm going to mark out 4 inches here and 4 inches here. Can you see? So from this point, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to connect these points together like this. This will be the new trouser line and not this. So we're done with this part. Let us proceed to this part. From this new line here, I'm going to mark out nipple to nipple. And nipple to nipple is 4 inches. And the length of my dart will be 4 inches. I'm making use of 4 to 5 inches thereabouts. So I'm just going to mark it like this. I'm just basically marking my darts. This is a normal facial dart. So after marking out my dart, I'm going to mark out waist measurement. Our waist measurement divided by 4, it gave me 8 3/4. So I'm going to mark out that 8 3/4 on this line like this. Then I'm going to input my 1-inch allowance for the dart. Remember I took 1-inch allowance here. Then I'm also going to add extra 1-inch allowance. 1-inch allowance for the dart and 1-inch allowance for the trousers. On the hip line, I'm also going to do the same thing. I'll mark my hip line and I will add 1-inch allowance. That's the importance of marking out 1 inch at this side. I'll do the same thing here. I will mark my crotch line, which is 13.5, and I will add my extra 1-inch allowance. You can either use 1 inch allowance or 0.5 inches allowance. But before I connect the allowances together, I will just start from the this thing. I return the 1 inch allowance for my dart. So that is what I'm going to mark first. So it's going to be like this. Alright, so I'll just find a way to connect it like this. Can you see? That's to blend with this line. Then for this area too, I'm just going to mark it out like this. So the trousers is already coming out. So after marking it out, so that my 1 inch allowance for the ease for the trousers, that's what I'm going to go ahead and do now. So I'm just going to mark out 1 inches round like this. You can either use 1 inches or 0.75 inches. Allowances for ease. So the allowances are already marked 1 inches. I'm just going to connect the points like this, and we are done with these trousers for the front. So for this part, I will use the curvy ruler. So that will be all about the pattern drafting of these trousers. We are not adding any allowances on this side. This is the allowances, and we've added it here. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to cut it out. I'll be following this line. Just watch me as I cut.
This is what the front pattern of the trousers looks like. So we're just going to proceed to the back pattern.
As for the back pattern, I'm just going to have my brown paper ready. Then I'm going to place the front pattern on it like this. I'm going to place it like this, and I will just pin it, because you need to use the front pattern to cut the back. If you don't cut the front pattern, you can't proceed to the back. So after pinning it like this, the next thing I want to do now, from this side, I'm going to come out by 1.5 inches like this, and I'm going to slant it towards the end of the trousers this way. Can you see? Good. So from this part, remember that this is the line of the front pattern. Can you see? So let's say we're extending it like this. I'm going to come up by 1 inch or 1.5, but I prefer to use 1 inch. So I'll just mark out 1 inch. I'm just going to come up by 1 inch, and on this hip line here, I'm going to curve it up like this, just to give like a square shape, and I'll connect the dots together like this. So this will serve as my zip allowance. This is where my zip is going to start from. So for the crotch line for the back, what you're going to do is to measure your hip. Your hip divided by 4, whatever you have, you divide it by 2. So now the hip I'm working with is 43 divided by 4. It will give me 10 3/4. So I'm going to divide that 10 3/4 divided by 2. And what I have here is 5/4. So on this crotch line, I'm going to mark out that measurement here. So from this point, I will now mark my initial hip measurement again, which is that 10 3/4. And that will serve as my new crotch line. So for the back, your crotch line must not be the same as the front. It's better for you to come up by either ½ inch or 1 inch, and I prefer to use half. So I'm going to come up by ½ inch like this. Then I'm just going to follow the line like this. So can you guys see the new crotch line for my back? This is the crotch line for the front, this is the crotch line for the back. So from this point, from here to the down part, I'm going to mark out 1.5 inches allowance. That's what we use for the allowance. I'm going to mark 1.5 inches all through. And now the next thing I'm going to do now is to connect the points together. I'm just going to mark out the dart for my back pattern. Let me connect these points like this so you guys will not be confused. I did not do magic, it's still the same thing. Can you see? It's just the same thing. I just tried to use my marker to connect the points together so it can be clearer. So from this point, this one, not this one, this one, I'm going to mark a nipple to nipple, which is 4 inches. I'll come out by ½ inch, come out by ½ inch. The length should be 4 or 5 inches thereabout. Then I'm just going to mark out a normal facial dart. So the front and the back would have that. Can you see? So we are good to go. So now the next thing for me to do now is to cut it out. So I'm basically following the same shape as this part. The only difference is the allowances that we added here. So watch me as I cut. So guys, I forgot to mention this ½ inch, this 1 inch that I took for the back. Make sure you add it at this side, just close to this side. Do you get? Just add it to this side for the back pattern. It was already added for the front. I forgot to add it for the back. So this is what it looks like. We have the front pattern and this is the back pattern. The back is always bigger than the front for trousers. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next upload. Let me know if you guys want me to do a sewing tutorial of how I'm going to sew the trousers. But the trousers, this is how to draft a trousers. If you're a beginner, you can get your way around it. Intermediate and advanced. Thank you all for watching. Kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel if you find this video helpful. Turn on your post notification bell so you can know anytime I upload a new video. And that'll be all for this tutorial. I'll see you all in my next upload. Bye guys.